Thank you for tuning into our podcast, Canal Days, What Life Was Like in the Industrial Connecticut River Valley of Massachusetts. I am your host, Carrie, and joining us today is Holyoke's very own local historian and creator of the historical tours of Greater Holyoke, Robert Camus. He personally offers and leads public and private tours within communities throughout the state of Massachusetts. Currently, the communities he has chosen to focus on this year are Holyoke, Chicopee, South Hadley, and East Hampton, and also Granby and Amherst as well. His tours spotlight on the local canals, reservoirs, cemeteries, and churches, as well as local parks, streets, and selected historical houses within each community. And so, in today's episode, we'll be discussing the Lincoln Grove Park, located in Chicopee, Massachusetts. So, where is Lincoln Grove Park located?
Within Chicopee, it's actually one of the nicest parks around, and Chicopee has quite a few parks by the end. It is on a triangular shape. Now, it's on the corner of Grove Street and Broadway Street. In fact, Broadway Street's so long, I'll tell you the address is on 224 Broadway Street. And then the other edge of the triangle is not face onto a street because there's a row of houses there. So it's mostly named after Lincoln Street because it borders on Lincoln Street and Grove Street and Broadway Street. So now this gorgeous park is towards the southern part of Chicopee, where the southern part of Chicopee has the majority of the population of Chicopee. It also is very obvious where it is, and most parks in Chicopee aren't that way. It's right on a very busy street, Broadway Street. And it's also very large, so you can never miss it. And it's surrounded by Victorian homes, and we're going to talk about what's inside the park. And we're going to talk about those homes around that triangular section of that park. And then whether or not this park is well taken care of, and other features about the park, such as maybe its history and its future, maybe.
And what are the main features within the park?
All right, it has a soccer field on one end of it, and it has a softball field, and it has a couple outdoor basketball courts, and it has a playground area towards its one of the further corners of it, and a small spray park. And it also has a lot of green space without any athletic fields. And with there, people can either congregate together on picnic tables or park benches, or they can just walk around the outside perimeter of it. And it has a fairly decent sidewalk on the outer side of it. And what I mean by that, not on the inner perimeter, and not even the perimeter outside that fence, but if you cross the street, you'll come to a place on Grove Street and on Broadway Street where you have a nice sidewalk, but you have to cross both streets. Okay, so it's a nice location, and it's a nice little park, and it's well taken care of all the time. You almost never see it in disrepair. It has some trees along the outer edge of it, but nothing inside of it compares to the gorgeous Victorian homes on the outside.
And real quick, before we continue with the rest of our interview, just to fill our listeners in, if you want to sign up for any of his various tours or find out more information, you can check out his website at holyokecanaltour.org. And there you can also find videos and podcasts of the stops along each of his tours, as well as photos and text of the historical sites throughout as well. And for other inquiries or private tours, you can email him directly at bobcat4214, capital B, at yahoo.com. And his tours make for fun, educational, outdoor activities for families and group parties. So getting back to our interview, what are the homes like around the perimeter of the triangular park?
They're very nice Victorian homes of a lot of different styles, and they're probably the number one reason to visit this park. There's stick-style Victorian homes. That's a style where you have a lot of vertical elements, and a couple homes are gorgeous in that style. There's also some shingle-style Victorian homes, and there's a couple of Queen Anne-style homes with towers off to the side. There's a nice one right on Grove Street at one of its corners, and it's at this point painted yellow, and it's a beautiful circular porch on the front corner, has a Queen Anne tower, and then it ends with a shingle style to itself, and then there's a stick style on Broadway Street. It's a little beige color one, and then there's another beautiful blue one there that has its tower right in the middle of the building, and then a wraparound porch to its left side. So it's a lot of gorgeous homes there, and most of them date from the era of around 1800 to about 1905. They were probably put up by the middle class mostly. Remember, this is very close to Springfield, so either these were people that worked in Springfield and would take the trolley in or drive in, or worked in some of the factories as foremen or administrators. And these are well taken care of even up to today, even though that most of them are about 140 years old. They're still in fine shape. A couple more are painted 3 colors, which means they are painted ladies. And overall, you could walk around this area and see maybe 20 Victorian homes, and it's quite gorgeous to see. And then you can either stay in the park, do that walking, or get out onto the further sidewalk, like I mentioned beforehand. So, for that reason alone, it is a great reason to visit the park.
And is this park in the area well taken care of?
Yes, it's well taken care of all the time, both inside and out. And there's a lot of sports fields that seem to be very active all the time. You almost never see the park empty during the daylight hours. And of course, it's open for the daylight only. And I never see clutter within the park, so there's no vandalism taking place, probably because it's on a busy street. And it's probably not the quietest park because it's so busy on the road outside it, but it does have that beautiful Victorian home atmosphere to it. Now, what was the past like? What's the future like? Well, the future probably is very bright because of where it's located, and it's on a triangle area. It has beautiful homes around it. It actually has a building on the outside that's for young children. It's called the Lincoln Grove Nursery School area. Now, its history, I'm not sure yet. So that's why I have a webpage for every different topic I cover. And so Lincoln Grove Park has its own webpage at this point, where I have many pictures. I'll have the full history of it and start to put in maps. And so I'm not sure about the history of it, but I'm guessing that it must be from the 1880s because most of Victorian homes around it are 1880 homes. And since it forms a triangle, it probably has always been there. And it's hard to fit anything into this triangle since it gets narrow very fast. So the history is going to be very nice. I want to find out even features such as when the field gained an athletic field, when they gained a soccer field, so forth. And I'll be looking out for those, and you should look out for them too. So thank you very much for visiting here and listening to the podcast.
And thank you, Robert, for educating us on your tours and historical topics of your expertise. And of course, we want to thank our listeners for tuning in. And you can check out a large selection of our other podcasts on his website,